Welcome to This Explainer. If you're a runner, you know there is literally almost nothing more maddening than an injury that just refuses to heal. So today, we're diving straight into the frustrating mystery of running-related groin pain and solving the case of why it just won't go away. We're looking directly at the clinical research to figure out exactly what's going on mechanically in your body and, more importantly, how to fix it for good.
You know the cycle, right? You rest, you ice, you stretch that nagging sore spot, and it never seems to actually fix the problem long term. You take 2 full weeks off, the pain completely disappears, you go out for a nice, light jog, and boom. Within 10 minutes, that familiar, sharp ache is right back where it started. It's incredibly frustrating. But as we're going to see, the reason all that resting isn't working is because we've basically been looking at the completely wrong part of the body.
So, the pain you're feeling is usually located right in the adductor longus. That's the muscle right in your upper inner thigh. When a doctor says you have a groin strain, this is exactly the tissue they mean. It feels tight, it aches when you squeeze your legs together, and is basically the primary victim in today's clinical detective story. But, in sports medicine, the victim and the culprit are rarely the exact same thing.
Section 1. The true culprit revealed. Okay, so we've identified the victim, your poor inner thigh. But to actually solve this case, we have to look elsewhere in the body to find the real culprit.
And here is the ultimate plot twist. Your inner thigh isn't actually weak. It didn't just randomly decide to give out on you. It's really just being completely overworked because of a lazy neighbor, your outer hip. See, runners tend to focus all their attention right on the spot that hurts, right? The strained inner thigh. But the research actually shows that the driving force behind this injury is almost always a weakness on the complete opposite side of the leg, your outer hips. Specifically, a muscle on the side of your hip called the gluteus medius, well, it's just failing to do its job.
Let's break down exactly what happens during a run to cause this. Think about it. Running is essentially just a series of single-leg hops. When your foot strikes the ground, your outer hip is supposed to fire immediately to hold your pelvis level. But if that outer hip is weak, it fails to support you. Suddenly, your pelvis drops on one side, kind of tilting like a seesaw. To prevent you from just completely collapsing or falling over, your brain panics and forces your inner thigh, the adductor, to violently contract and desperately catch your body's weight. You are literally making your inner thigh do the job of the outer hip with every single step. So no wonder it's straining.
So what we're really talking about here is a lack of lateral pelvic stability. Now that's just a fancy clinical term for having hips strong enough to stay perfectly level and balanced while you run on one leg. When you lack this stability, those running forces aren't absorbed smoothly at all. Instead, it creates massive stretching and tearing forces right on your groin. So, if we want the inner thigh to stop hurting, stretching it isn't going to help one bit. We absolutely need to build up the side of your hip so the groin doesn't have to work overtime anymore.
Section 2. Fixing the root cause and building stability. Let's jump right into the solution and look at a really practical protocol that makes both the groin and the hips strong enough to keep your body perfectly level. We are going to fix this root cause by progressing through 3 highly specific, evidence-based exercises pulled directly from clinical rehab protocols. This isn't just about random core work, okay? This is a highly targeted approach. First, we have to wake up that lazy outer hip, and then we have to build some serious armor-like resilience in the inner thigh itself. Let's break down exactly how to do each of these properly.
Step 1. Lateral band walks. You'll want to take a loop resistance band, put it right around your ankles, drop into a slight athletic stance, and just walk sideways. You'll take about 15 steps to the left and then 15 steps to the right. What we're doing here is immediately waking up and strengthening the side of your hip, that gluteus medius we talked about earlier. By doing this, we're basically retraining your body to engage those outer hip stabilizers so they are completely ready to support your pelvis the exact moment your foot hits the pavement.
Next up is step 2, our beginner groin strengthener, the short lever Copenhagen plank. Now, the full version of this is usually way too intense for an injured runner, so we shorten the lever. You're going to lie on your side, supporting your upper body on your elbow. Then, place the knee of your top leg onto a low bench or a chair. Drive through that knee to lift your hips right off the floor, bringing your body into a straight plank, and just lift your bottom leg slightly off the ground. Your inner thigh is now working statically to hold your entire body weight up. It's safe, it's highly controlled, and it directly conditions the adductor to handle those harsh running forces.
Finally, step 3. Once that short lever version feels totally easy and pain-free, we advance to the full Copenhagen side plank. The setup is exactly the same, but instead of resting your knee on the bench, you're going to place your top foot on the bench. You lift your body into a straight line, and then you pull that bottom leg all the way up to meet the underside of the bench. By lengthening the lever all the way out to your foot, you are massively multiplying the mechanical demand on those deep, stabilizing groin muscles. This right here is the absolute gold standard exercise to make your groin bulletproof against heavy running forces.
Now, to actually see structural changes in your muscles and tendons, consistency and volume are everything. And the magic number here from the clinical protocols is 3. You'll want to perform 3 sets of 20 to 30-second holds per side on those Copenhagen planks, and you need to be doing this 3 times a week. This specific dosage creates the exact physical stress needed to force the tissue to adapt, ultimately building that deep growing resilience you need to conquer your runs without breaking down.
As we wrap up, I really want you to remember this absolutely vital takeaway straight from the clinical texts. Emphasize active loading over passive rest. Look, if you just sit on the couch and wait for your groin to stop hurting, your tissues actually weaken and lose condition. Passive rest simply won't save you. But controlled active loading, that forces the tissue to adapt, rebuild, and actually come back stronger than before.
So, you now know that your groin strain is really just a symptom of a lazy outer hip. You're armed with the exact protocol to wake up those hips, level your pelvis, and protect your inner thigh. So the only question left is, are you going to keep resting on the couch hoping for a miracle? Or are you ready to fix the root cause and finally run pain-free? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy running.